Hey guys, this is Coach Nate McBride with the BladeFit Academy. Welcome to the channel, and today we are going to discuss how to develop lightning fast sword striking skills. We're going to talk about the mechanics of how it's done, and then I'm going to give you 3 exercises that you can train your fast fire muscle groups so that you will have fast fire sword muscles with fast fire abilities. Yes, this is what we are going to talk about right now. So, the mechanics. Let me put it to you this way. The fastest path between 2 points is a straight line. I'm going to say it again. The fastest path between 2 points is a straight line. And this is just physics, guys. How, Nate, how do we do this when we are sword fighting? Because it's a little bit more complicated than that. Yes, this is true. So let's talk about what that looks like. And as a guide, let's talk about boxing. Okay. So in boxing, you have a good stance. Now, we're not talking about stance today. We're going to keep this simple. But good stance is very necessary to accomplish this. I have my hand. My hand is at point A, and it needs to get to point B, right, to my target. So when I'm throwing a jab, which is the fastest punch out there, yes, when I'm throwing a jab, what am I doing? I have a good foundation, and my hand is traveling in a straight line from point A to point B. It's pretty much the same with swords. Okay, so I have my blade, right? And now, what do we do typically when we have a blade? What we do is we stand, we stand like this. I'm going to do it from here, and then we we cock our hand and fire. Now, it's let me tell you, let me explain what's going on when we do this. What's actually happening is your body is thinking to itself, I need to hit that target, so you align your hand to the target with your elbow, right? Your elbow comes in and then you fire with your hand. But let's take a look at what our hand is doing, right? I'm here, I throw my elbow into it, and now I'm throwing my hand. You see the arc my hand is traveling in, and my hand kind of comes back as my elbow goes forward, and I strike. So what I'm doing, not only am I telegraphing where my blade is going to go, because my hand is holding on to my blade, um, I'm also I'm going the roundabout way to the target. But of course, we want to activate our elbow because you are firing all these big muscles back here to do, something to really be strong in your cut. And sometimes you do want to do this, but today we're talking about lightning fast strikes, and so this is no bueno. Um, we want to be as fast as possible and not telegraph our movement. So I'm going to take the sword away. So from here, I'm here. What I want to do is I want to go in a straight line, and I'm using foot mechanics and everything else, but that's for another video. My hand, we're focusing on the hand, start here, end here, right? So instead of cranking my elbow and then firing and arcing my hand, what I'm doing is I'm traveling in a straight line like so, okay? Instead of doing this, I'm doing this, right? Instead of doing this, I'm doing this. Now, and it doesn't matter if you're up here, say this is a long sword, doesn't matter if I'm up here and striking down, right? Usually what we want to do is we want to create, like, see my hands traveling in this pretty arc. Usually that's what we end up doing. This is wrong if you want to go fast. If you want to go fast, you start here, you want to end here, you do it in a straight line, right? Straight line down. Okay? If I'm here in this position and I want to end up in this position, straight line, right? So from here to here in a straight line. Boom, right? From the hip, right? From the hip, same thing. And if I want to end up here, what I don't want to do is arc up. I want my hands to take my sword as quickly as possible to the target. And to do that, I go in a straight line. Boom, like so. Okay? You see how much faster that is? But it's also harder to do. So let's explore what muscles we need to develop to make that happen. Okay? A lot of my tricep is firing. A lot of the back of my back of my elbow is firing, right? And a bunch of other things, but mainly those two things. So we need to develop, especially our triceps, in a fast fire way to be quick in our sword strikes. Okay, so now let's get into the exercises, how to do this. Now, these are actually kind of fun, and the first one is something that you may not have realized, and that is using a basketball to dribble. Something very, very simple. The muscles that I'm firing are my arm. I'm doing this action. Yes? Yes, I am doing this action. So when we are dribbling a basketball, it's the same action, except instead of away from you, I'm going down. So I'm focusing on just my tricep firing, and also what I'm trying to do is create sensitivity and dexterity with my hands, because when you dribble a basketball, you are sensing the ball with your fingertips. And just like anything else, guys, if you do the same motion over and over and over and over and over and over again, you start to develop repetitive motion problems. Your body can't keep up with healing. And so if you want to get really, really good at swords, there's a limit to how many hours that you could practice without your body really starting to break down those very same muscle groups and sinews and ligaments that you're trying to develop. Doing something similar but different really gives your body a chance to stay in tune and develop, but in a different pathway so that you can heal, right? So basketball, right? That's very long-winded, but basketball. Notice when I dribble the ball, right? What my arms are doing. So I can do this, and you'd be surprised. Dribble a basketball for 5 minutes and see if your arm's not tired. So there you go. So I can dribble like this, of course, but if I want to make it approximate more of the sword motion, have you ever seen basketball players at a free throw line, right? They're here, and what they do is, when you shoot a basketball, your arm is straight like this, your fingers are here, and your elbows in, and what you do is when you fire, you're doing this kind of thing, right? Right, this kind of thing. So you just have your foot forward, you dribble, right? Just do this for 5 minutes. You'll be amazed at the fast fire muscles that you develop in your arm. Your arm's going to be sore just for dribbling a light basketball. Now, added to that, they have those weighted balls, or like medicine balls, that are bouncy, right? So if you get one of those 10-pound ones and you try that, right? And that way you have to put more force into it. So if you dribble one of those for a couple minutes, right? 2 minutes, you are forcing your muscles to do the same thing, and in order to make it bounce, it's like you're really activating, and you're developing your fast fire muscles with force, right? So that's even better. But start with a basketball. If you're not familiar with dribbling, it is going to make you a better sword fighter. It is going to make you a faster striker. And so there you go. Okay, so that's the first exercise, is dribbling a basketball. Who would have thought? It works great, guys, I promise you. Okay, so the second thing is hand throws. I call them hand throws because I don't know what else to call them. But basically, here's what you do. And we need to use our minds when we're doing this exercise, because we really need to understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish, right? So remember, your hands have a starting point and they have an end point. So let's begin with the basics. So the basic hand throw, I'm going to throw both my hands as quickly as I can. So I'm going to get in a good stance, and my hands are going to be in front of my chest. I'm going to take a breath. Your nose if you want to be zen. And then I get my hands ready. I clear my mind. And at that moment, I throw my hands and I exhale as I throw. And I'm throwing my hands in a straight line, as straight a line as possible. So here's where the mental part works. I want to envision where my hands are going to end up, because when I have a blade in my hand, it's my hands, once they're there, they're going to be doing something, or they're going to be doing something from here to there, right? They're going to be busy doing, something, but I want to travel in that straight line from beginning to the end, right? So visualize with your mind where your hands are going to end up and how you're going to control the sword from position A to position B, right? So with that in mind, to get started, there's 3 basic positions. So from the chest, right? And again, I take my breath and exhale, and both hands go out, right? Like so, like so. Now, I'm not going, right? That's not what I'm doing. Physiologically, how do I put this? What I'm trying to make sure is that my fast fire muscle fibers have enough sugars in them so that they can optimally work as they fire, right? Because I'm developing speed tonight. I'm not developing, raw strength or endurance or anything else. It's just fast twitch fibers that I'm developing today. And fast twitch muscles require a certain type of sugar, right, that you expend in 15 seconds. 15 seconds, it's all gone if you continuously move, right? So what I'm doing is I'm spreading out the fire, my firing of the muscles, right? I'm taking my time as I reset. I breathe in. I need oxygen to help, break my body break down the food inside into that yummy sugar for fast fire muscle fibers, and then I fire, right? And I need to go slow in between each one, at least 3 seconds in between, and that should be enough for your body to keep up with those sugars. Anyway, enough about that. So from here, right? So from the chest, from the head, right? Now, important, because a lot of times when we have a long sword and we're in this super tog position and I'm coming down, normally what we do is see that arc. My hands are traveling in this pretty arc. Well, that's awesome for some applications, but if you want to go fast, your hands shouldn't travel in an arc. They should travel in a straight line, right? So they start here. Where do I want my hands to end up? Here, right? So the fastest distance between here and here is that diagonal line. I mean, it's diagonal in relation to my body, but it's a straight line, right? So from the chest, from high, and then from my pockets, right, from my hip. And I want to go here, right? So it's moving in a straight line, right? Now it works different shoulder muscles, right? Right? So those are the 3 basic ones, but let's make it situational to whatever sword discipline you're practicing. You definitely can do this. You can plug in where your hands start, wherever that point A is, according to the guard that you're practicing, and then where you want it to end up in your cut, right? So for example, if I'm in Tag and I want to do an Unterhau, right? So an Unterhau, instead of sweeping, right? Or maybe it's best if I do Flug, right? So I'm in Flug, and instead of doing a sweeping arc, which takes flipping forever to do, and you're gonna catch a point right in your mouth, instead make it a straight line, right? So it's a diagonal straight line, right? Straight line, straight line. Okay, I'm drawing a straight line between position A, where my hands are, to position B. I'm beating a dead horse, guys. I'm just going really slow, just so you could try this out and really stew on it. I hope that this is super duper helpful for you. One more thing with a hand throw. I like to do saber, so you could practice saber cuts, right? So I'm in the saber position with one hand, right? And so I could practice cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, cut 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is interesting, right? So if I have my hand up here, I could do 7 like this, right? Or I could have it here, and do 7 like this, right? So my hand is coming in a straight line up here, and I'm cutting down like this, right? 7 from this position, or 7 from this position. I don't cover my head, right? So there you go. Anyway, hand throws. So basketball dribbles, hand throws. Now the third one, and that is practicing the straight line principle with your hands, with a light sword on a pel, right? So the same principle applies. I really like, guys, training speed with a shinai. It's a kind of a game changer. This is awesome because it's light, and all I have to do is focus on my fast fire. These are super inexpensive. I got 2 of these for 50 bucks. And then I added this thing on there myself. But so if you break one, if you train a lot with one of these things, and if it breaks, you're not too torn up about it, but you really want to preserve the wear and tear on your nice tournament fetter. And again, we're just developing fast fire speed. We're not training for strength, right? So those are 2 totally different things. So I'm in Tog, right? I can strike the dummy. One thing you have to worry about with hitting the pel, right, is the shock that you produce as you hit the pel. So on this guy here, this happens to be padded, right? And then the inside is PEX pipe, so it's bendy and it goes back to true. And then I also have it in a specialized base where it's a rubber tire and some 2x4s. And so as it moves, the tire kind of moves along with it, and then it turns it back to 0. And even then, I have to be careful because with the single stick, I do get more shock because I'm holding it with just one wrist, and it is, feeding back more shock. Another reason why I like the Shinai is that built into it, the different pieces, they do move and bend, and it really absorbs a lot of the shock up here instead of in my wrists. So guys, you want to keep your wrists healthy as you train. And so the least amount of stress that you put on drills that are meant to be done over and over and over and over again, you really don't need that on your wrists, especially the older you get. So you got to be really careful with the pels. But my personal favorite is just using the hand throws. You could do that in your bedroom when no one's looking, or even when someone is looking and they're asking you, what are you doing? And you say, dude, I'm training for fast fire sword strikes because I'm going to win this tournament. Like I want to be a swords god, and I want you to come to class with me. Why don't you come to sword class? And like, oh, I never really thought of it before. And then you got someone else to train with. So, also, what you can't do is get a little training knife like like this. Man, I need a link to Amazon for this because this has been a great little tool for me in my personal training. This is made by Cold Steel. Of course, it approximates this sword. It's a dagger. It's a flexible dagger. Sometimes we fight with these in class with David. Shout out David. But these are really cool. They're like 10, 11 bucks, and I like them. So you could do hand throws with one of these, and approximates a sword, and it just puts something in your hand so that you can also practice the whole thing when you go, right. Incidentally, the hand throws, it also works with thrusting, right. It works great with thrusting or striking, right. So there you go. Anyway, guys, this video is already too long. I just wanted to help you to develop your lightning fast sword strikes. If you could strike faster than your opponent, and if you couple that with better leg work, dude, you are going to be in charge of that fight. You can engage and disengage whenever you want, and you're really, really going to worry them and you control the pace of the fight. If you're confident that you are a faster striker, if you can move your hands faster than them, it's not just all about the strike, then you can counter in the Indus a lot with much more confidence. And it's so you don't have to rely on the vor. You don't have to be the most aggressive one. If you guys don't know what that is, you can parry and then strike, or you can maneuver and then strike. Like, if you're confident in how quick you move with your sword, then it's just another thing that you will dominate in. And, just like anything else, martial arts are just tools. Doesn't mean you're going to win. If you are a technically better martial artist, it just means that you have more tools to your disposal. But hey, I hope you enjoy the video, guys. If you like what we discussed here today, I would love to earn your subscription, because each week at least we're going to get into something else that's invaluable to your sword training journey. And share, like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscriptions, because that means that we can then do live videos. And we are this close to being able to show Saturday morning live fights, Pacific time, from 10 to noon. And it's just better outreach, and all of this is to serve you guys. So when we get those 1,000 subscriptions, we're like 15 away. If we can get those, then yeah, then we can just give you guys so much more, and that's what this channel is all about. So guys, I hope that you were doing well. To all my students, love you guys. And all you guys who are faithful watchers, love you too. And always remember to slay your demons, and long live the fighters. I'll catch you in another video. Take care.